Okay, if we've got a thin lens, and I didn't quite hit the center, but let's pretend I did, okay? You got an object out here, so here's your object distance. And you got a focus here, and of course there's a focus on the other side. I'm using F for the focus and then F for the focal distance, which is bad notation. You understand what I'm doing? Then you can draw the parallel ray. You can draw the central ray. And you can draw the ray that goes through the focus on this side and comes out parallel. And all three of these meet in the same place, just like I drew it. Okay? Well, I kind of missed because I wasn't being all that careful because I do this kind of quickly. You get that idea. You got to know that picture. You got to be able to identify the triangles and prove this. Prove that 1 over F equals 1 over I plus 1 over O. Now, what happens is you move this object closer to the focus. Well, this ray here, the one that goes through the center, is going to get steeper, right? And so is the one through the focus, which means you're going to get a bigger image further away. Okay? What happens if you go beyond the focus? Keep missing. Okay, if your object is here, well, this parallel ray still goes through the focus over here, right? But look at what happens to the central ray. It's steeper than this, just because of the geometry. I mean, this distance is less than this distance, and you just do some triangles, and you can see it very clearly. If you make it close enough, it's obvious to think that's almost vertical, right? This is just a little closer, so it diverges just a little bit. But rays diverge. Okay? And what do you make of that? Well, what you make is you don't get an image over here. But if you're looking through this thing, it looks like what happens is, okay, well, I'm going to kind of exaggerate, bend these things a little bit. These things meet over here on this side. So there's an image here, and when you look through this thing, this is what you see. It's a magnifying glass. That's how magnifying glasses work. Okay? Now the picture's badly drawn. I should have drawn this a lot closer so I could get the convergence on the board where it looks right. But you can look that up. It's easy to see. Okay? And then of course you have questions like, I think one I put on here is, you know the focal length of this distance, you know how far it is from the light up above or whatever you're trying to make an image of? Okay? So, for that configuration, how far away do you have to put a second lens of given focal length to get an image in the tabletop? I'll be done with this, but you got to set it up carefully. Okay? Okay, well, there's a lot more. And I'll look through, because we've got probably at least a dozen so-called constellations. Probably maybe even closer to 20. And they all need to be discussed so you know exactly what's going on. I recommend that for next time you read through these so-called constellations and ask me which ones you want me to prioritize next time.